All right. Hi.
Yeah, I was gonna say you start it.
I'll start it, I guess. Welcome to Time Wasters again, which is been a long time since I've done anything like this. If you guys don't know what this was a podcast I did. I made like I don't even know how many episodes, like 5. And then I was like, this is a lot of work because I don't want to get a new person every time. And I just stopped doing it because
How long has it been?
I can check. I'll check really quick. Why not? No,
Multiple years.
That's a great question. I will check really quick. But anyway, I thought it would be fun to bring it back and bring one of my fellow professional yappers, Joe Bart.
Joe Bart.
Not as a guest, but as my co-host. So
Hello.
Yeah.
It's me. I'm Joe Bart.
You know,
Should I introduce myself?
yeah, go ahead. Why not?
I'm Joe Bart, Twitch streamer, YouTuber. Some say TikToker. I would say, not really in that realm as much as I used to be. At might also get banned. We could talk about that as well at some point. But
that would be a good thing to talk about, I guess.
That would be a good start too.
Let me put that on the list just in case we forget. Okay.
We made a list.
Leave
this in. We made a list of ideas such as North Korea, serial killers, TikTok ban, politics, baseball, people throwing out their arms, movies. We just wrote random stuff down.
Quite the smorgasbord. We just kind of thought we could write down an assortment of things and then like
ramble after that. We're
inevitably
talk about
we'll
one
just
thing and then just get off topic.
The last episode was September of 2021.
Yeah, I said years and you said no. That was almost 3 fucking years ago.
Dude, I blinked, and after college I blinked, and I have a daughter now, so time just goes.
Yeah.
Time just goes, especially
time dilation. As you get older, everything becomes quicker because you have less experiences. In the moment, time is the same, but looking back at it, it always seems shorter.
It is kind of crazy.
Vsauce video about that, about how in the moment, fun things seem short, but looking back, they seem long, and then boring things seem long in the moment, but short in the like post term. Because if you're just like standing in line, you're not gonna fucking remember that 10 years from now, like the one time you had to wait in an airport.
Or the one time I waited 8 hours in a Disney line to ride one ride that just reopened.
You waited 8 hours.
No, but people do that, dude.
I went to Disney World when I was a freshman in high school for my like class trip. We always had to do a class trip. And let me say this right now, and I'm gonna piss people off. I fucking hated it. The
not gonna piss me off. I don't like it either.
The experience was nice. You're walking around, especially like at night. Magic Kingdom's magical, but the rides blow. It's hot as fuck. You're in a swamp in the middle of Orlando, Florida, and everyone is just annoying as hell. There's like Disney adults walking around with Mickey hats. And it's just
they're more terrifying than the children who like Disney. Like
and now they have the Disney cities now.
Well, I saw something where it was like Disney has begun marketing to double income, no kid families because they have money to spend and most other people don't, because double income, no children people have just like money.
You're just rolling it.
They just have money because they're not spending it on anything but themselves. And if they live, like most of them might, they have just money that they
can waste on Disney.
So Disney puts all this stuff into the marketing, like Star Wars and all sorts of stuff, and people just eat it up.
Yeah.
But I've been twice. I don't know what you guys ended up getting like when you went, but I went with Game Grumps for one of their videos, and then I went with the org I was with at the time for one of theirs. And both times they like spent money on like the Pinky Out VIP tour. Like I was not involved in this like decision at all. It's disgusting. Like it's disgusting. Like I made an example of that ride because when I went with the Grumps, the Cars ride, so I went with them to the LA one, and then I went with my org to the Florida one. So I've seen both.
I've never seen the LA one, but everybody says the Florida one's better.
It's smaller and it's not as sticky or hot. There's like a lot. The Florida one's just huge. But when I went in LA, the Cars ride had like just reopened, and I guess people were excited about it. People were so excited that the projected line time to get on the ride, if you started at the line when we got there, was 8 hours.
Not fast pass.
8 hours. Just flat out.
Fucking hours. And people were waiting in that line.
Yes.
I watched a video about some guy that was speed running how many times he could go on a Disney ride in one day. Like, and he went like open to close, and it was the Star Wars ride, and he went maybe 12 times, but in like a 12-hour span. I'm like, that fucking sucks. And when I went, they had the Avatar ride open. It was like a whole thing. It just opened up in what is it, Animal Kingdom, and
that's a fun one. The one on the bike.
Yeah.
I remember liking that one a lot. That and the 2 Star Wars ones.
All of my friends wanted to go on like the open or whatever, and they were like, we're gonna get up at 6 a.m. and fucking wait. And I was like, yeah, you're good. I fucking slept till 10. Didn't go. Everybody else, it was like the one free day we had because it was part of a class trip. We had to like make it educational, and so we would go. We got to go underground, and we would have to see how the rides worked and shit. And I just remember it being hot as balls, and I only brought black shirts because I was so afraid of like pit stains, and they wouldn't let me wear tank tops. So I only wore black shirts, and we were there for 7 days, and I brought, swear to God, 4 shirts as a freshman in high school.
Pretty classic.
In the middle of Orlando, yeah. I was re-wearing like filthy ass fucking shirts. It was gross.
I had to go
sitting there.
I had to go to Florida a handful of times the past couple of years because that was where the org was. They were in like Boca Raton, which is like, you know, like old ass people, Florida. But it's just sticky. Like, it's just humid and sticky and like sweaty. Like, I could wear exactly what I'm wearing now, which is like a shirt and shorts, and just be like uncomfortable at all times. At all times. It's so baffling that people just like are there, especially like old people, because like it
how are you not dying of heat exhaustion?
I feel like they're the first people to be mad about it. You know what I mean? Yet they're down there like everything's fine,
enjoying it.
I don't know.
It's not a nice heat, and people move there. Like, I know it's like snowbirds that live in the north, and they'll go to the north in the summer, and then Florida in the winter.
Yeah.
But even Florida in the winter, like the days that it's really warm, like if it's like 85, it's just wet outside. Like, it's always wet and moist. I would just never move to Florida. I've been to Florida so many times, and I'm not dissing people that live there, but I would hate living there. Not even for the people, just the fucking
just the weather. Just the weather is just not pleasant a majority of the time.
It's warm, but it's so humid. You're always sticky. Oh, and it always feels like I got home from the beach. When you're like sandy, that's the worst. That's one of my top 5 worst feelings, is after a beach day, going home,
like the layer
covered in
of shit
sand,
on you,
and your fingers are all sticky. Oh my! And you just feel like shit. And you track sand everywhere. It's terrible.
The craziest part, and like, this is, I guess I got spoiled going to Disney because of the VIP tours. Because if you guys don't know, I don't even remember this shit's expensive. It's like per hour, and it's like hundreds of dollars per person. I don't know where the budget was for this. I wasn't gonna say no, but I'm certainly never gonna do this again. In fact, I'm more than happy to keep the Disney park experience hidden from my daughter for a long time. Hello. He just ran in here so excited.
Little guest appearance.
This is Boomer. But the worst part was that Cars ride. Like, obviously we rode on it because it was new, or it was back or whatever. You go through the exit if you're on one of these like private tours. Like, they just lead you through the exit, which is right next to the queue. So there's an 8-hour line worth of people right next to you as you walk along the exit, just being like, hello everybody, like, I'm gonna skip all of you.
They're probably pissed.
Exactly. And then you just sit there next to them waiting to like steal the spot from the guy in front. It's crazy. It's like it's messed up. Like
I used to go to Six Flags a lot, and they had like
there's one in St. Louis I used to go to.
At Disney it's just the fast pass, but in Six Flags they have like different levels, and they have like silver, gold, platinum. I remember one time I went to Six Flags and I bought a platinum pass for like $200, and it skips 95% of the wait. So if it's like an hour wait, you just queue it while you're walking to the ride. By the time you're there, you cut right to the front, and everyone that's just waiting in line for an hour and a half just fucking stares at you. And they're mad, but I'm like, you spend the money on it, you pay for it. Yeah, you don't want to pay for it.
I wouldn't pay for it. I would not. I don't know.
Oh, I mean, no. Now
I guess
I'm like, yeesh. That's a lot of money.
That's the whole Defunctland video, though, right? I'm sure you've seen it.
Yeah.
It was that one that got recommended like a billion times on YouTube videos for months, like a year or so ago. The one about Disney Fast Passes in general. Like the whole invention of it is to make the thing under it suck, and the thing above it too much, so you buy the one in the middle that makes you go faster. I mean, I don't know.
That, and then it's like the Fast Pass. I saw a lot of people bitching about this, similar to like, TSA PreCheck, because TSA PreCheck is the equivalent of a fucking Fast Pass. You just skip security.
I've got PreCheck.
You don't skip security.
It's kind of nice.
It's nice.
It's a lot. It took a while to get to it.
Yeah, more and more people get PreCheck. And so the pre-check lines become like just smaller, regular lines. But I've been in line at airports. I was in line at an airport for 4 hours for security one time, or 3 hours. It was before an international flight. We got there so early, and I would have missed the flight.
I would have missed.
It was in Philly, and it would just literally, it would go like all the way around the airport, and I was like, "Where's the line?" And they're like, "Keep going," and you would just make these turns, and I would see people cut in line. And I like the might of Zeus, just me holding in, just going like, "Fuck you, you fucking asshole," to somebody that would cut in. And I remember there's this mom and her daughter that cut in, and I literally was like,
punt the kid.
just getting ready to just fucking scream.
I can't stand airport etiquette, dude.
Because nobody says anything, and I fucking hate it. If you're in it,
because you're a dick if you do, but it's also like people are just being a dick.
But it's like everybody just knows you're an asshole. So it's just, oh my god, it's just there's like 40 people that saw this woman just cut in line, and would just keep cutting through lines. And I was like, why is no one saying anything? At one point, I end up like being right next to them, and I turn to the guy next to me, and I go, "What the fuck is with these two?" And I don't talk to them, but I point at them, and they turn back and look at me, and then just never turn around again. I'm like, the fuck. Like, it's so annoying.
Crazy
because
how like
everybody,
efficient.
it's like an NPC. Nobody wants to say anything, so they just sit in their own world.
Well, I think that's the thing, is like nobody actually, like a majority of people don't want actual confrontation. I think that's the fun part about the internet, is like so many people are so like gung-ho online, and then they get in that exact scenario, and they fold like a blanket, dude. It's crazy.
Well, because you don't have to, you can only have if you're online, you could just output whatever the fuck you want to say and never have to deal with what people say back. But in person, it's like them dealing with the annoyance of, say, somebody cutting in line is still better than them saying something and then dealing with the fucking argument that's going to ensue and the awkwardness of, you yelling at them or something like that.
Well, yeah, it's like it takes like actual personal character and confrontation to be like, you're being an asshole in person. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
people just don't want to actually do that, because it removes that safety net that the internet gives with like anonymity, and like it's that, and also like you disassociate like the humanity aspect of interacting with somebody online, because you technically do all of it like we're doing it through a monitor. There is a bit of a removal of humanity within this conversation, because we're doing it on a monitor. So it's like
we're not right next to each other.
We're not right next to each other. It's a bit different. There's not as much like chemistry or the pizzazz of being with somebody, but that pizzazz it's terrifies
it's like
some people.
A fast food version of social connection.
That's a great way to put it. I've never really thought about it that way, but yeah, it is kind of like that. It's like enough, but it's not like amazing. It doesn't.
I think it might have been Ludwig who said this, and it was like during COVID, you watching people online like as streamers is the equivalent of like eating Burger King, right? Like you get some sort of sustenance from it, but at some point your human interaction can't just be online. You need some form of social connection in person. Like say you have an online job and you work from home. You can play video games and sit on Discord with your friends, but once a week you should still, go hang out with people.
Yeah, but man. Yeah, definitely.
One thing I wanted to say, well, yeah, you also have a wife, so I mean, like,
That's true.
you still get, you're not like just alone in a room and you never interact. Like you have a wife and kid, like you still, yeah. But, I was gonna say it's easier to socially confront people too, in person in safe areas. Like at an airport, if you yell at somebody, they're not going to bring out a knife and fucking stab you.
I think that's the funniest part.
If you're on a New York, if I was on a New York subway and somebody was being a real dick, I wouldn't say shit because like I don't know what they have. They might be on crack, right? They might fucking bite my face off.
Yeah.
For all I know. That's why whenever you see those crazy videos in New York with like homeless people or just whatever, like somebody drugged out, fucking doing something, you just sit there and sit on your phone. You just ignore it.
Oh, dude, I could like this,
you're gonna negatively be impacted.
You could really open up a can of worms with this because a lot of this sort of like social decision making in the moment and stuff goes into a lot of stuff in terms of like the logic of gun ownership. If I want to use my degree, I guess, because if people don't know, I have a criminology degree. I went to school for 4 years. Joe has a degree now.
I just graduated, got a philosophy and religion degree. Kind of useless, but
I'm not using mine either, so who cares? Yeah, it makes, I guess it lets us do stuff like this, kind of. I don't know. I actually found I found a way to streamline my true crime content, so I might be doing that again, which is cool. Yeah. But not a lot of people who end up getting a gun really think about like the scenario in which they would use one to like harm somebody. And like, because the thought process, and I'm not saying this is necessarily the wrong thought process, is like, if I get a gun, I'll be safe. And if somebody's in danger, I can help. But what doesn't really go through the mind until it's happening is like, you're pointing a gun at somebody.
What am I going to do in this scenario?
Like you're about to kill somebody. Like you're about to do that. And like, that's a big deal. And people don't really think about it until it happens. And so you get stuff like, I guess, for example, like the Uvalde police, they just sat there because
they're panicking.
When would you ever even think about being in that scenario? I mean, they didn't do anything right there at all. Like objectively, they just
I mean, I think that goes back to just American police being trained drastically less than any other.
I mean,
police.
I could rant on this forever. Is the lack of training is actually abysmal, but that the social aspect of realizing having to confront somebody in that way, you just don't think about it because that is such a bizarre scenario.
It's not easy to just go, oh, somebody's in danger, I'm gonna pull out my gun and fucking kill someone.
Not a lot of people really think about that and are just totally like no questions asked.
I also think that it is easier to use a gun in self-defense. Like if I owned a gun and I had a license to carry and somebody came and tried to stab me, no shit, you're just gonna go into survival mode and shoot them. But say you're witnessing somebody else go through that, you're gonna be way more hesitant on like, should I kill this person?
You put yourself in that position. You're putting yourself
in position, and then maybe you make that wrong decision too. Like, I mean, the Uvalde thing's a different scenario, but say you just witness somebody get mugged and you kill them, you might be in fucking deep shit for murdering someone.
Say you miss. Say you haven't trained.
Oh, and you hit the wrong person.
Some people get guns and they don't practice at all. Like there's a majority of gun owners out there that just don't actually sharpen their skills. They just want a gun because it's so easy and available that they just have it because they think it's culturally seen as necessary. And so they just get one and have one, but they don't actually go through these steps of like, am I good with this? Could I use this? Should I use this? And then what would that do to me?
Would I be able to shoot someone in a crowd of 5 people and not hit the wrong person?
Probably not. From the stuff that I've studied, probably not. Because like the thing is with that sort of stuff, training to shoot a gun is in the ideal scenario, right? Like you're in a room, nothing's happening, you're not panicked, you're not worried, nothing's going on, nothing's threatening you. It's just a random target. Like I've shot a gun before. I've been to shooting ranges.
That's way different though than somebody actually pulling a gun on you and being like, different. Oh my God.
And like and you can go into the logic of being a criminal for a bit here. Like with the stuff that I've studied, like what does a criminal do? They want to they think about the opportunity of their crime and they go through the process of if they should, how they could get away with it. And one of the biggest things that is in that thought process is like the people that could stop them, the police, etc. Right? Police are around, they're not going to do it. If police are around and they want to do it anyway, they're going to get rid of the police. But like it also goes into like people with a gun. If they're going to want to do something,
some random guy on the street that trips you.
If they're going to want to do something to people in public, like a shooting, and they see somebody with a gun, they're going to get rid of that person. Like logically speaking, if you want to think like a criminal, like if the goal is to do the most damage, you're going to get the obstacles out of the way. And if somebody has a gun or you see somebody with a gun, you're going to take them out. Like, or want to.
Well, I think like it also depends on the criminal. Like, say you're gonna go and rob a store.
That's true.
Right?
I mean,
and you're gonna have a gun. A lot of the criminals might be ready to fucking shoot them, right? Or like shoot a random person.
Yep.
I would say a lot of people that are robbing stores though are not ready to just fucking kill anybody, because then you're getting like somebody that's going to commit robbery is presuming that they're not going to get caught. And if you get caught with robbery, they're thinking in their head, okay, I'm probably not going to be in prison for the rest of my life. But if they go and rob somebody and I just rush their ass, if they kill me, now they're getting charged with murder, robbery, and they're going to be in prison for the rest of their life.
Well, majority of robbers, their goal isn't harm. Their goal is money.
They just want money.
They need it for whatever reason. They like the thrill. Like burglary is a very like precise crime. Like people think about it, and this is, I guess, a crime that makes people want a gun at home, but robbers don't tend to want that confrontation. Like the layers of robbery, the thought process is first of all, they study a building for weeks. They're not just gonna find unless they're that desperate or not thinking logically. Like if it's like, think of like a grade A burglar, right?
Like a good
They're
robber.
gonna case a joint. They case a joint for however long they need. If they think you have something, they're gonna know if you have something, right? And then they're gonna study for a long time to figure out when they can go get it. And that scenario includes you not being there, first of all. And if you have in any way a way to like stop them, they're probably not going to go through with it, or they're going to wait till you're there to not even do it. And then even in that case, if they somehow go through with it and get in the house, they're going to have a bag at the door where they're going to throw as much stuff as they can, where that's their exit. They're going to find an exit door, and then the second they think it's unsafe, they're going to grab the bag with as much as they have and just get out. But
I feel like that's not the majority. I feel like that's
it is,
the
though.
1%
That's what robbers do.
Yeah, that's robbers. But I feel like when I think of I think that's like a good thief, right? Like a good robber, like somebody that's going into a home studying it, like some fucking Ocean's 11 type shit.
Right. I mean, obviously, that's a very ideal criminal.
The average robber that I'm thinking is like a guy that just goes with his friend and says, "You're going to be my getaway driver," walks into a fucking 7-Eleven, gets $500, and then gets into their car. Like, they're not planning shit. But
that's more for like
those
home
people
burglary,
are on a different level. Yeah. The people that you described, I'm always fascinated with too, because if you're that highly skilled to do and pull that off, you could surely be wealthy in another if you're capable of like doing IRL thief sim and like waiting and writing down their schedule and where is it and when I'm going to do this, and you have a million backup plans, you could be a fucking successful otherwise. I have like a few friends whose family members own like car washes and stuff, and a lot of the drug guys there do their drug deals right next to the vacuums. Because say the police pull up, they go
throw it in there
and just fucking suck it right up, and now there's no proof. And say they even break that open and find it, there's no proof that it's theirs. Like if their fingerprints aren't on it, they're just like, okay, yeah, no, we're just standing here washing it. We're vacuuming my car, no big deal. And so they deal with that a lot. And then money laundering too is always through like car washes, but that's also with like Breaking Bad and stuff. It's really easy to launder money through like car washes. I always think that Lids, this is a conspiracy theory that I have. You know Lids, the store that sells hats, they only sell hats. They're in like malls everywhere.
I probably, if it's a big mall thing, I've probably seen one. I just don't
a
really
hat
think about
store.
it.
Any hat store that you pass, money laundering. Has to be. Because how many people are buying fucking flat brim hats at a mall in 2024? 5?
How many people are going to a mall in America in 2024? Not tons.
No one.
Maybe like the Mall of America, like the iconic
big
one.
malls, Mall of America, King of Prussia. Yeah, there's probably some big ones that people are definitely going to. But like the average local mall, no one's ever in. But I love that. When I go to a mall on a fucking Wednesday, no one's there. You just stroll the aisles. They got that fucking like lo-fi music playing, that like basic shit. I feel like I'm in a liminal space. I love Walgreens too.
Have you been in an abandoned mall before?
You went to it. You went to an abandoned mall.
We streamed in one. So my friend Rambo did a show called Gen Lost last summer. Like it's actually almost been about a year. And the show was in an abandoned mall. So they rented out an
like
abandoned,
newly abandoned.
A
like,
little
broken
fresh.
Down?
A little fresh. Yeah. Like
it wasn't rubble.
No, not at all. So it was a mall in New York that they shut down because there was another mall right next to it, and they were like, why the fuck do we have two malls neck and neck? And so anyway, so he wanted to film this horror show. It's really fun, by the way. If you guys want to see it, it's called Generation Lost. It's on YouTube probably now. But it was a 3-day Twitch stream event, and each day was like a different segment or like theme, etc. But all of it was filmed within this mall, which it was just a mall that was being broken down in the middle of New York. So I actually have a vlog of it on my like IRL channel. If anybody, I guess, is curious about the footage, like there's some weird stuff, like totally like intact, but definitely going down, like cafeteria. Like there was a KFC that like had grease still on the floor. Like they just
really,
like clearly people had just like got out of there. You know what I mean?
Literally just got up and left.
And
like it looked like an apocalypse.
It really is. It really is like a liminal space, because you're like, this is so weird because people are supposed to be here. Like nobody was there. Like literally, it was like, I guess like mall security still kind of did rounds around the building because it was still there, and then like we had the production team and us, and that was it. So you could walk all the way up these like 3-4 floors just totally by yourself while the music for the show was playing, which was also a little eerie because it's kind of like eerie, like like dystopian liminal space music. But it's really cool. It's actually like nostalgic to think about going to it, but I can't because it's gone. Like a month after we filmed it,
they demolished it.
They flattened it like a month after.
Wow.
I don't know how they like worked their way into squeezing in there in time, but it was really cool. There's something about it. There's something weird about it.
I always think it's cool looking. Like I used to watch documentaries about Chernobyl a lot.
Mm-hmm. I watched that show that came out like a year or so ago. It was pretty good.
What about Chernobyl?
It was like a dramatized version. I don't know.
But I love when they go there and they'll like go through these homes where people just like got up and left, and everything is as it was. Like
real Fallout shit.
Yeah, like the book that they were on, the page that they turned, like it's just still there. Like their clothing, they just have random shoes. It's just like it'd be the equivalent of like your house catching on fire. They would just grab everything they had and just fucking got out.
It really was like that in that place. Like there was, I mean, legitimately, like that grease trap in the KFC. There was I mean, the other like fast food places were all like that. There was like a Charlie's Steakhouse that was like the sign was half off, and then like there was a Sears, which was where episode 1 was filmed, on the second floor of an abandoned Sears, but there was a different clothing store on the ground floor where the final scene was shot, and the mannequins were still in there. Like the mannequins of the store were just there, like in the front. and like signs advertising certain stuff. I should have. I did take I don't know if you can see it, the gold mask right up there.
Yeah, you got
he
that
was
there.
a part of the day 2 set, and I took him. I also have a coffee mug from the day 1 set. So I did take some stuff, but yeah, it's really weird because it is that like this is like
people should be here.
People should be here.
Something's
exactly.
wrong.
Like something's wrong here. It was very eerie and like interesting, and like once again I had this like weird nostalgia for it, and so do a lot of the other people who are a part of it. I was talking to Vinny about this the other day because Vinny Vinesauce was on episode 2, and we were talking about the mall and everything the other day because there's this weird nostalgia about it because it's such a crazy thing, and it was such a fun little moment, and it is actually just gone. Like they got rid of the mall, so we can't even like pretend we're gonna go back.
But it's nostalgic in the sense that you like miss it, or just like you would go back.
I would go back, yeah, if it was still there. Like I would love to go back. Was it ever
scary?
Mm-mm.
It was just weird.
Yeah, just
were the lights on?
There were times where they were like off and on. Yeah,
I feel like a mall with the lights off would be fucking terrifying now.
Well, so a part of the show was keeping it dark because it was kind of a horror thing, and then they were like, there's these giant skylights in the middle of the mall, right? So they spent a good week or so, I don't know exactly how they did it, but they blacked out the skylights of the mall. So there actually was basically no natural light within the mall when they were in there. So it was basically all just the
walking through dark
the building lighting
malls.
And it was still a little dark, especially in the middle parts, because the middle parts relied a bunch on the skylights.
Yeah.
So it was pretty dingy in there. It is.
Would you ever go to like if somebody was like, hey, would you want to go to an abandoned mental hospital?
Mm-hmm.
You would go? Would you go?
Yeah.
And you would stay the night? Like, would you sleep there?
Stay the night? I don't know.
Staying the night's harder. But you have to. Okay, you don't have to stay the night, but you have to go at night. Like, you can't go during the day. You have to go like at like 2 a.m.
Could I be silly?
Yeah, but you're alone. I would go in a group. If I was alone, fuck no. If you were like, hey, Joe, we're going to pay you such and such to go alone, you would have to pay me hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't even think I believe in ghosts, but if you were just like, hey, here's a fucking camera, go vlog this, no.
Would it be like Watcher, where like the camera crew is out there waiting for them, or would I have to be there totally by myself? Or would it be like Shane and them, where like the cameras are like the people are waiting out there, but they do all of it by themselves inside the building, right?
There will be like a van outside of people with audio, and they set up cameras that you can't see throughout the building.
Because if you're proposing, we go to one. Like, let's do it. Why not?
I would go to one.
I would go.
I don't want to sleep there, but I would go. I would never. If I was alone though, I'd fucking freak out. I would run out.
I'd go to one. I'd definitely be a little silly about it.
But do you think? Okay, now this is the follow-up question here. Do you think like ghosts? Do you think ghosts are real? Like, would you be scared? No, I don't think ghosts are real, but I would definitely be freaking out there.
I think there's something going on because there is like weird.
Like I've seen Sam and Colby a lot.
There's a lot of weird stuff where I'm like, it's hard to even think that this is like an explainable thing.
Fake.
But I don't think like bad spirits exist. You know what I mean? I think there is some kind of like connection of people's souls still here that like do certain things or like can.
But you don't think they're gonna like come out and stab you?
I don't think so, because like
yeah.
I feel like it'd be happening a shit ton.
There would be more just random dead people like at these abandoned mental hospitals. There's a lot of people who have
been done pretty fucking dirty throughout their life. Yeah. Like I cannot imagine a majority of people
don't become evil spirits. I feel like it would be like every other house that just somebody died
exactly.
in.
Either that
like
or whatever
evil. Yeah.
Whatever happens when we die is like too fun to pass up on. Like I don't know. That's why it doesn't get me is I'm like, I feel like there should be a lot more of that then, because I feel like there's a lot of people who have some pretty like big grievances with the way they lived or how they were like treated, etc., to where like most people could be like, yeah, I want to haunt the shit out of this guy. In fact, I want to harm them as a specter of the beyond. I just feel like there'd be a lot more, personally.
I feel like I would rather go to a mental hospital alone, like an abandoned mental hospital alone. And if you gave me like an iPhone and headphones, I would just like zone the fuck out. But I would rather do that than like you drop me in the middle of like the Appalachian Trail and I just have to like camp. I would be so worried I'd get killed by a bear or a mountain lion.
That's true. I don't think I would like to be like out in the wild alone for however
How
long
do you think you could survive in the woods?
I don't know, dude, because I don't have like the
make a fire knowledge.
I mean, like I kind of do. Like I could figure it out, I guess. Like because twiddle sticks or like you snap rocks together.
Smash rocks together.
Depending on the rock type.
It would be pretty fucking hard.
It would be pretty hard, especially because I don't know what you did, but I wasn't like a Boy Scout or anything like that. I was a fucking idiot and didn't do shit. So
I think I could start a fire. I don't think that like if you're giving me nothing, like not even a metal pot or anything.
That would probably be the hardest part. Is I wouldn't know how to like make those
water.
Yeah.
Like I could get. I think I could maybe get food by some means, like just scavenging, maybe like set up a trap of some sorts. But when it comes to water,
you can also like crudely cook it as long as there is a fire. Like you can make it work as long as there's some fire going on.
I think I could survive like a week in the woods alone, like the Alaskan wilderness, 1 week, and then I'd die. Like I would not make it. I would probably get a solid meal, and then I'm probably gonna drink like river water and get like
a parasite.
some sort of parasite.
It's
and
definitely
have,
the
like,
water
105-degree fever.
Yeah.
I used to watch Naked and Afraid. Did you ever watch that show?
A handful of times, yeah.
So awkward when they meet each other and they
Crazy
just stare at each other's genitals and then look back up and they're like, "Well, what do we do here?
Nice.
What did you bring?
Nice cock, man. Anyway, how are we gonna live?
4 days to make clothes." It's like they're just butt ass naked the first 4 days. There was one episode.
At that point, I would think I would just stay cock out. Like it's already happening.
If you're already out for 4 days, at that point it's whatever. But I watched one where the guy drank like river water, like running water. He was like, he looked into the camera. He was like, this is good. Flash forward like 4 days, he gets fucking helicopter backed out because he had some parasite that was like killing him, and he was like shaking and like couldn't move. He was like borderline paralyzed. And I'm sitting here like, how the fuck? No, not even that. How the fuck did we have ancestors that like? I mean, yeah, that was their life, but they did that shit. Like
I don't know.
Like
that's what blows my mind too. I think about because I have glasses. I don't have terrible eyesight, but I have enough to where like if I have them off, I'd have to squint at a majority of things to definitely read it, unless it's like this close to me, right? And I'm like, how did they just live before any sort of corrective lens? Like they would just get themselves killed, right?
Yeah, I think if you want my honest take, I mean, I don't know the biology behind this or evolution.
I don't either.
Stuff,
I'm sure it has something to do with all the...
with the development of society, I think there are more bad vision. Like, I think there would be less people with like legal blindness or like terrible vision back 4,000 or 5,000 years ago because they probably just died.
They weren't always on that damn phone.
Yeah. They probably just didn't make it. But I mean, I will say that a lot of like, I know with people that are doctors for wildlife, they always have to do like, say they find like a deer or something, they have to do a scan on their whole body or like seals and stuff, because wildlife animals are really good at hiding horrible things that they have. Because if you're like say you're not a predator, say you're not like a tiger or a lion,
I'm
or
an
a
alpha.
mountain lion. Yeah, like just say you're an omnivore or an herbivore. Like you're not an apex predator on the top of the food chain.
It's kind of chilling.
If you're injured and you're noticeably injured, they will choose and kill you so much quicker than anything else. So say like a deer like gets really fucked up on the inside, they're just gonna look normal on the outside. Like you would have no idea. Like seals will like fight and break each other's like bodies on the inside, but on the outside they look fine.
That's pretty
so if
true.
you're a doctor for them, they have to like scan. They would like grab it, and they would have to look on the inside and do like heat signatures to see if something's wrong with them, because they're just gonna look normal, because they're gonna fake it because if they don't fake it, they're just gonna fucking die. Which
that makes
is weird.
sense. When my stomach hurts, I'm pretty worse for wear. I can't really do much.
Yeah, but I mean, I think if you're in the wild and you have bad vision, I don't think that's as bad as like some other things.
I think it would explain why some like there was way more like mythical creature sightings back in the day, because people might have just been seeing.
You think people just had bad vision?
I just think people had bad vision. Like honestly, like I think about Bigfoot and shit, and like the distance that guy was at when he saw Bigfoot isn't that far. Like he could have definitely like seen it with his eyes if he had good vision.
Yeah.
Which the whole thing is actually faked. If you, not to burst people's bubble, but
the original Bigfoot.
If you look into it, the guy who made that footage said he faked it, told his children on his deathbed not to keep it going and to tell people the truth, and then he died, and then they were like, no. So.
And then kept doing it.
And then just have kept doing it, and now I'm sure people are going to be like, no, fuck you, but that is technically the guy who filmed it and started the entire thing was like, yeah, this isn't real. So
well, there's going to be people in the comments or just in general that are like, well, there's other sightings, right? Like people claim to have seen it. What I would say is
I guess that could be true then.
Not necessarily Bigfoot, but like mythical creatures and stuff like that. I think a lot of those early stories are just from people tripping balls and not knowing that they were tripping balls. Because if you're an early scavenger and you just eat mushrooms,
there's a lot of mushrooms out there that could do some shit.
There's a lot of mushrooms that have psilocybin or psilocin in them, and you just reach down, they look just like a regular one, you fucking eat them. 2 hours later, you're bugging. Because the amount of mushrooms worse. Because like now when you take mushrooms, or people take mushrooms, a regular dose might be like 2 grams, and 2 grams is like 2 mushrooms.
There's a better understanding of the amount that should be taken, but
and they're also
probably
dried.
Just popping whole shiitakes.
That's what I'm saying. If you're hungry and you're basically a caveman or somebody in early society, and you see these mushrooms and you're fucking starving, you might eat 7 grams of mushroom, or 7 grams of dried mushrooms, or like a bunch, undried, the equivalent. You're going to eat what most people consider a heroic dose. You're going to be freaking out, and they're going to see dragons, God, a million, like they're going to see all these things. Yeah, they're going to see these things. That sounds
terrifying.
I can't
take edibles for like exactly that, because I don't.
Oh, I love that. I love dissociating. Like as weird as that sounds.
I start thinking too hard. It freaks me out.
I like that. I don't know.
That's
like
crazy. I hate that. I hate it so bad.
Not like hallucinating, tweaking, but like if I'm on an edible. There was one time I was watching the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, the one with Davy Jones, and it was like
Great
this
movie.
boat going across.
Love that one.
It was the dad with the boat going across, and he's like going into the afterlife, and just this thought of like, damn, what if there's nothing? And that was like the first time I like actually thought about like, damn, like what if there's nothing when I die?
That shit fucks me up.
Just started crying.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I like that though. It's like I feel like I have these holy like realizations under that, but like when these people take these like things back then, like this is a theory. I would say I don't believe in this theory, but there's a lot of people that wrote books about like the stoned ape theory. Have you heard about that?
Mm-hmm.
Where like obviously we had similar descendants or similar, and we have a common ancestor with like chimpanzees, gorillas, orangutans, and like the big apes, the old ones. But they're saying that started like part of that like transition out of that like around that time with like Homo habilis and all those.
Because of drugs?
They're saying the theory is that they took hallucinogens and developed a higher sense of consciousness.
That would be crazy. Have people been...
That would be really crazy if it triggered that.
But people been trying to
did.
replicate?
What do you mean replicate?
Like,
that?
have people been
like
trying to make
given monkeys mushrooms and see if they?
I feel
there are a lot of apes that there are a lot of apes that get
ethical
high for
concerns
fun.
with doing that.
I think it might be lemurs, or there's another monkey that same thing. Like dolphins mess with pufferfish to get high.
Dolphins are just fucked in general.
Yeah, they'll like rape people and shit. It's like they're crazy. But I think it might be lemurs. They have these worms that have these toxins, and they'll like fucking mash them and then like rub it all over themselves, and they get like really fucking high.
Wow.
And what you notice is the more intelligent an animal is, the more likely they are to find something to get like fucked up.
Damn.
Which is so weird. I don't know like why that would be. It's probably just the recognition that it
so
does
you're saying
something.
Sober people are stupid?
No, I'm not saying sober people are stupid. Sober people are probably smart for being sober.
Probably.
But
health-wise, at least.
I think the development of the consciousness, I don't believe in the stoned ape theory. I think the reason we're
I think it's
as
a
smart
crazy
as we are,
idea, though.
Oh, it is a cool idea and like a cool topic, but I think the reason we are as we are is just language. Like the fact that you even understand what I'm saying right now is the reason that humans are more developed than other species, because if we weren't able to share knowledge, we would just be where we were in the fucking Stone Ages.
Unga bunga.
Yeah, but there are like the big apes, like there's a lot of people, like a lot of scientists that are saying that like orangutans and like some other apes are entering the Stone Age because they're learning how to use like tools. Like their orangutans
That would be
use
wild.
There's videos of orangutans using like makeshift spears to like grab things.
Ooh,
or like swat off otters. There's like wars between orangutans and otters. They don't like each other.
Be crazy, dude. I'm for it. That would be really cool to see that happen.
What, them slowly get like more and more conscious?
Yeah. No, I think it'd be so fun to like be
able to talk
to
another species.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be so cool? First of all, I'm a little convinced that like if another species were to start gaining sentience and evolve,
we would kill them.
A lot of humans would just probably kill them. Yeah. Because they don't. People don't like being threatened. So
competition.
At least Americans. I think unfortunately. Americans would just beat them up.
Americans.
If not already, if we haven't already, I'm pretty positive we would just do that, which is fucked up.
I think that we would, but also what's really weird is like when you look at dog breeds, like border collies or like what is your dog breed?
The dog that walked in, Boomer, was Boomer's a Pyrenees and a Beagle.
There's so many dog breeds that exist. We are the only species of human, but there used to be more, and we fucking killed them.
We killed them.
Like, obviously, some of them died off just out of competition, but like the last one was Neanderthals, and we just fucking killed them. Like, we beat them out in competition. We just we would actually kill them, and then now we're the only people that are left. Like, it would be we're the equivalent of like if only golden retrievers existed. That's how fucking crazy it is. We're like, oh, we're humans. No, we killed every other fucking thing that was our own. Like, we could have had other human species alive, and they're gone mainly because of us.
I'm trying to find this because it's relevant to the talk of evolution. I saw this TikTok yesterday, and it was some guy
about evolution.
Yeah, some guy was talking about how a plant had just fused with something. Hold on, I think this is it. No, this is guy's talking about how TikTok has brainwormed him into seeing movies before he's seen them. I don't know. Oh, here it is. Let me see what he ends up saying. Rarest event on Earth. So basically, like, I'm gonna, I guess, paraphrase this, but two organisms merged to become one when like we started becoming people, plants started becoming people or things, because like plants fused with a thing to create photosynthesis, right? So like the relationship stopped being like one thing and another thing helped each other. It became one thing, right? So apparently something like a plant fused with algae, which is allowing them to just create ammonia within themselves or something like that.
For why?
It's something to do with surviving in the water, I think. I'm not sure if he fully... A bacteria merged with an algae, and they're calling it a nitroplast. Let me see if I can just look that word up to find a actual article instead of trying to read the captions on a TikTok. Yeah. It's an organelle found in certain species of algae, particularly in marine algae. It plays a crucial role in nitrogen fixation, a process previously thought to be exclusive to bacteria and archaea. Let me see.
But this is not recent. They did this when like 50, 60,000 years ago.
No, this apparently just happened recently.
Oh.
Like I'm not too positive. I don't want to pretend I know what I'm talking about, because that's the worst thing a podcast can do, is pretend they know what they're fucking saying.
Mm.
I'll stick to my criminology knowledge, but this is like on this evolution sort of talk where it's like, apparently like two things recently like fused together to do this process within itself, which is the exact...
It's not just them helping each other hand in hand like our microbiome does in our gut.
Yeah,
it's like they're
it's
one
no
and the
longer
same.
symbiotic. It's like it's exactly the process that created like plants and everything, which is crazy, because it's like that could... he was basically like, this process was the stem of the big three things in existence of like animals, plants, etc. And we're witnessing potentially a new one emerging, at least some sort of like sub branch of that, which is crazy. I just think it'd be wild to witness like an actual like big thing of evolution, like a different species getting smarter,
especially in our lifetime.
Like
that would be crazy.
I mean, I'm just hoping I can see a flying car. I mean, we're already seeing...
That's like the one thing you wanna...
Yeah, it sounds really stupid and old school.
I would love to see us... Before I die, I would love to see us go to Mars. Just
I would like to see an alien or something too, I guess.
Oh my god, that'd be crazy. That's the one thing. If I could talk to another alien, like another sentient being,
I think just another species in general would be cool.
Something that's not from Earth would be...
That would be very cool, yeah.
I'm not like a conspiracy theorist, but I truly believe the U.S. government has seen aliens and interacted with them. David Grush's thing, if you don't know who he is, he's like a military informant, and he was like really high up in the rankings, and he basically became a whistleblower and talked in front of Congress, and he also was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and there was a lot of things that he wasn't allowed to say legally, but a lot of things that he did. And he basically, like, this guy worked for the U.S. government, like, was, like, higher up. And a lot of people say it's just bullshit. He's making it up. Okay, right? Like, what? Like, you know, if you don't want to believe it, you don't want to believe it. But he flat out said that the U.S. government has recovered and known about aircraft since the 1920s.
It wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't.
And it follows so much with the story. I think it might have been Richard Nixon. And you could probably look this up. But one of Richard Nixon's friends was like a famous guy. And one day when they were drinking, he was like, hey, you want to see something crazy? And the guy was like, yeah. And they flew him out to like fucking somewhere in New Mexico and showed him dead aliens. And then for the rest of his life, he lived in like an alien home and was like obsessed with like a random switch. Crazy. Was obsessed with aliens. And he was like good friends with like the then president. I don't know his name. But that was the story I'd heard. Not whether or not that's, you know, true or not, but the David Grush thing talking about aliens is like the fact that this guy worked for the U.S. government, was high up there, and came out and been like, yeah, no, we've known about this for a fucking while. That annoys me. And it's because they have this... He was going into how they have to like... It's basically like a massive NDA. And like if you're one of the people we tell about this and you fucking spill the beans,
well, they'll probably just kill you.
They're gonna ruin your life. And he went into how when he wanted to whistleblow, they tried to make shit up about him. They went back from his military career and they tried to fucking ruin his life, and he ended up like proving his innocence. And he was like, I barely made it here because they tried to fucking, you know, if you ruin somebody's image, nobody's gonna believe what the fuck you say.
Right.
And so that's what they tried to do with him, and he made it past that. But It's like the fact that they could hide that for so long annoys me. And what really pisses me off is like, yeah, you have to sign this contract and whatever. But I think the people that would know about it, and he was like, it's probably like 10, 12 people are like in on this. And like the president probably being one of them. And he doesn't even know as that much. But
you think they told Trump?
Oh, I feel like no.
I don't feel like they did,
because he would have tweeted that.
He would have totally said something, right? Like that's what I've always been thinking. Is like I feel like
thinking.
I feel like they just didn't tell him a majority of things because they were like, this guy's just gonna tell everybody.
He's
like
gonna rat. But listen, the reason why I think it's so well kept is because it's like, you know, when like somebody tells you a secret and there's so many people that are like, oh yeah, and they feel happy that they know something other people don't.
That's
imagine
true.
Imagine being informed about the most literally that is the most monumental thing you could ever be informed on. We have contacted other alien life that is more smarter than us, and we've known about them for fucking almost 100 years, more than 100 years. And you're like, and they're like, okay, don't tell anybody. You're probably not going to tell anybody.
I mean, it's definitely like something that they probably have kept secret, and it's more likely that like they've shown up because they're way, you know, smarter, more advanced, and they showed up to try to communicate with us because they realized we can, and then we fucking killed them. And then they were like, okay, we're not doing that again. And they're, I guess, peaceful enough to not fuck our shit up instantly, or are scared. So they're either like they think we're scary, or they know we're dumb and don't want to mess with it. So.
It's so weird though. Like when I look at the development of society, when humans,
okay, Joker, let's go.
When humans became like obviously more civilized, and we started, you know, cooking our meat, and we got weaker jaws, and we developed more tools, we had way more free time, right? Because we had more food. And in that free time, we ended up doing leisure activities, right? Art. People would do cave paintings. And then over and over more time, our job is to entertain people that have free time.
Becomes less about survival. It becomes more about leisure.
And I always wonder if there was like, say there's another planet where instead of in their free time, they wanted to work on leisure activities. What if they were just like so tuned into, I'm going to try and survive as long as I can, right? Like, I'm going to use my free time to further advance myself. Like some sort of human,
like they're spending too much
thing that
time
is obsessed with themselves and obsessed with, I need to get more fucking healthy and better and stronger and faster, and I need to be able to kill things easier. Over 10,000 years of civilization, those people would be fucking immortal.
Like an evolutionary gym rat.
Yeah, like say humans in general didn't give a fuck about the arts and leisure time or anything, and we were just like, hey, let's try and fucking survive as long as we can.
It'd be kind of crazy.
We would be, I swear to God, in 1,000 years, they would find, if everybody just directed their attention to funding, like, hey, let's try and become immortal, I think people could do it.
I think the sociological barrier is like a huge deal there. It would never happen just because of like the way people treat each other. But like, if you're thinking that's strictly a human concept as the sociological structure that we function through, that would be crazy.
Because what makes it so another planet would function not only under the same premise as us, with the same senses and languages, but also what if they're better at it, and why would they want free time? Just because we as a human species, you know, want time to not work on survival, that doesn't mean that other animals aren't just fucking machines just trying to make themselves like you could
it is a crazy thing to think about, is like literally everything else on this planet is just a machine trying to continue to be a machine. And half the time I'm just sitting on the toilet wondering how I'm going to survive this shit.
Yeah. But like
sorry.
What if, oh my God, what was I even saying? What if like what if like these animals, I mean, obviously I think the higher the intelligence, the more conscious the being is. But what if they're like maybe on a similar consciousness level as us, but they're so high geared into survival.
Like obsessed. Like
yeah, obsessed. Just like that's all they care. Because there's animals that's all they care about. The majority of animals, that's all they care about. And yes, as you begin to get more conscious, you kind of get out of that.
I was about to say, I guess you could argue there's like there is a lack of like that higher intelligence there. Then if they're so obsessed with longevity of just surviving, like not even surviving in a quality like enjoyment kind of way, you could argue there is like a lack of a bit of intelligence there. Not to diss any sort of creatures from beyond Earth. I'm more than happy to figure to learn, but because one, I would love to not worry about half the shit that my brain comes up with, because crippling anxiety is not fun. But it's very interesting because it's like, what if they're just so busy thinking about how they can continue that they're not even like advancing in ways of like what else is going on? You know what I mean? Like they're just thinking about how I can work with less food for however long. They're not thinking about like, what if I just got the fuck out of this planet and see what's going on? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I mean, I don't know. The weird thing is animals are basically obviously like ingrained to try and survive, but also they're ingrained to try and survive by the easiest means as possible. Like
all animals are efficient.
There's an if it's just literally the shortest, and that's why I mean, like Japan's subway system was designed by what was it, mushrooms, I think, or some sort of plant that like kind of they would put like food pellets where major cities were and like major pinpoints.
That's crazy.
And then they put all these like mushrooms on them or whatever, or like the like spores, and they just let them kind of go to the food, and the path that they went to the food is how they did the system, because it's the most efficient way.
Regardless of if that's like efficient for us, that's still a cool as fuck way to create a subway system. First of all, that's awesome.
I don't know if the entire Japanese subway system is based off that, but I have seen studies that they
imagine they make it all visually like with the roots of a tree and shit. That would be so cool.
But like there was an experiment they did with rats, or it was mice, and they had a button that would basically just give them like
the cheese maze.
Like obscene levels of dopamine.
Rats are like a great example of this.
Equivalent to, you know, what they would have from like having sex or like achieving food. And the rats would just sit there and like press the button until they died. Like they would starve to death. They would die from exhaustion or something. Like if you give an animal the equivalent feeling of what they need to survive, they will just do it.
They'll just keep doing it because they think that's
they're
what they
doing
need.
the right thing. Yeah, they feel like they're in the best shape of their life.
And if you take the rat and you just put them back where they started, they'll know where to go.
Yeah.
The crazy thing about rats, I don't know if I had rats in my house once. It was awful. Or it was mice. I don't really know the exact qualification.
I had bats.
You had bats?
I had bats. I had bats bad. Like
okay, well, you get to that in a second. But rats, first of all, I learned rats like dog food. They love dog food. Something about like
they can eat it?
Yeah. Something about the nutrients within dog food they're obsessed with. So I used to have, I've had a lot of dogs. I've had 4 dogs at a time at one point. I have 3 currently, but I had 4. 3 of them are huge. So I had like big bags of dog food a couple of years ago. But before this, we used to just have them just bag on the floor, like on our second floor of our building, just like, you know, open it up, scoop it out, put it on, right? Somehow these mice got onto the second floor of our building, and I learned that my landlord, either him or whoever had the building and made it or fixed it up, probably him, because he was an interesting person, like made my entire kitchen, my kitchen in that building was like a U. It was like a U shape, and there was counters all along the U. It was actually a really nice kitchen, but underneath the counter space was cabinets, and then underneath that he just put like a wall in front of it, but it was just space. There's just an empty space from the floor like 2 feet up, and then there was the cabinet and then the counter. So but he just put like a little thing in front of it, so we didn't see that. So these mice had like gotten under the cabinets
in that
and
area,
like in the kitchen, and like sat behind the fridge getting water, And then they figured out that they could go along the wall all the way to the other side of the floor where the food was and dig into the dog food bag and get food and then go all the way back. Like they figure out like the exact efficient path to take that's like the least complicated and the fastest. It's so fascinating. And like it was awful. First of all, I would just stand up and you see like across.
How long did it take to get rid of them?
Oh my God, dude, like a month of like being like, this is ridiculous. We thought it was just one. And then like,
you thought it was one rat.
Well, that's the problem is it feels like it's just one because there's always like just 30. The one. And then you finally kill one. And then it keeps happening. The weirdest part was Boomer is like really perceptive about stuff. And he would just stare like at the wall. Like he would just look at the fucking wall. And we didn't really know. Yeah, we didn't really know what the fuck he was doing. And then there was
probably heard them.
Yeah, he could like hear them somehow. Yeah. It was fascinating. I don't know. I would not wish that on anybody. It was disgusting. Like they just shit everywhere, and then they can get into the smallest fucking things of all time. Like it's terrifying how good they are at just like being like sneaky and like slippery, whatever. But I guess that's just a random anecdote about rats. I don't know why. Just to kind of be like, that's what animals do. They just know.
Yeah.
Why would they go through all the effort of doing the extra work when they know they can just get water right there and then just go a couple of turns and then there's food and go back?
I had at my old house, I had bats in my basement. Like
in the basement.
Hundreds of them. Maybe not hundreds, probably like 50. There was a lot. And I remember when we moved in, it was like abandoned before. And when we moved in, it was kind of like in like a decent, condition. And there was just bats. It was only in the basement. And then maybe like the walls, like they would come in and they were in the walls, right? So you could hear them at night. And most of them were babies. There was probably like 4 parents, and then a lot of them were like really tiny, like this big, and you'd see them hanging upside down. And I remember they just used to fucking scare the fuck out of me because I was always just, when I was a kid, I was like, dude, they're gonna bite me.
So what do you do about that? Did you guys just like let them?
We had to get somebody, and they had to wall off where they were getting in because they were getting in through like a hole that was maybe like this big. And the mom would come in, and then all the kids would just wedge themselves in. They lived there, and then there was like a whole rule that you couldn't kill them. And so you would have to like get them out without murdering. Like rats, you just kill them. But with, like, rats. Bats, it was like a whole thing where it was like you can't just fucking set up traps and murder them. Like you have to get them out of your house. And it probably took like 2 weeks. It wasn't that bad. But I don't know if this was a rat or something else. But when you were talking about your rats, it fucking reminded me of this. When you had that gap in that same house. It was, how you have like the counter and then there's a dishwasher.
Right.
There's
that's what they would do too.
There's a little gap in between that dishwasher and the counter. And I remember my family went on a vacation, and this was probably when I was 10. So this would have been like 2012. And we got back, and we had a bowl of Hershey Kisses that was sitting probably like 2 feet away from the washing machine. And maybe 100 of them. We got back, and the Hershey Kisses were gone. And I was like, that's fucking weird. And then the next day, my mom was doing, like, the dishes, and she goes, no fucking way. And, like, pulls it, and they were lined up, like, in between that gap. Like, a human couldn't do this. They were lined up perfectly. Like
the Hershey Kisses or the bats?
Yes, the Hershey Kisses.
Oh.
Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Like fucking 2 feet back, like at the back of the washing machine, all the way to the front. Just a wall of Hershey Kisses.
That's crazy.
And no one was at that. This was before I even had a dog. And this was like...
Did they just like got all that food and they were just lining it up to preserve it?
I have no idea. We never found out why they did that then.
That's crazy.
What it was,
because that goes against the whole. It
had to be
like,
an animal.
Yeah, that goes against the whole like just survival, repetitively doing whatever they need to survive stuff
I'm
too.
I'm thinking maybe it was like
that's
this
fascinating.
Might be a stupid take. Maybe like a chipmunk or a squirrel, something that would like hoard food.
It could be a squirrel. Squirrels are fucking stupid. They'll hide food and then forget it immediately and die. Like
I don't know what it was, but it was so. I was like, what the? And we never found out what it was. It was just.
That's crazy, dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
the dishwasher was one of the places that the mice would like crawl in when they thought they got made. They would just scurry in that little crease. And like I said,
Yeah,
because
there's always a
there was
gap.
just a fucking gap underneath our cabinets. They would just they could enter any little crease of our kitchen and just escape. It was frustrating. It was so frustrating.
I would rather. I've never had termites, but I always know like when people have termites, that fucking sucks.
We had
You
termites.
have no idea.
I think I remember us having termites growing up once, but I don't remember what happened with that. I just remember seeing them.
Yeah, and you never know. You never know. You never know something's wrong until it's like bad,
It's collapsing.
Like your house is in shambles and it's hollow, and you don't know.
That's why a lot of I don't know, because we bought this house. We bought a house in St. Louis before this. We had to do a termite check. Like it's part of like housing
Before you buy it.
It's one of those things that you don't have to do it, but basically if you don't, you're really running a risk of like
It's
something
on
going
you now.
horrendously wrong. Yeah, it's one of those things that you kind of ask the seller to do, because like most people, if the seller is like no, that's kind of a red flag if they're not trying to like help you ensure the quality of what you're about to buy.
Yeah, if they don't want you to do it.
Yeah, which actually there was a guy trying to sell a house next to ours in St. Louis, and he basically lost sellers because he wasn't trying to help with that sort of stuff. I'm pretty sure he failed an inspection or two because he was just trying to flip a quick house. Like it was some lady died and he took the house because I just remember going to the backyard and letting our dogs out, and he would sit there and talk about how he's about to flip this house and make money. And then like we would constantly see people come in to look at buying it, and
just never buy it.
Nobody moved there by the time the whole time we were there.
With it.
Yeah.
That's
from
the
what
issue
I heard.
with like getting cheap homes in the US now. There's always something wrong with them. Whether it be like there's no plumbing, there's the fucking roof is broken.
There was just so many periods where like there would be a crew of people, and then they would be doing work, and I'd be like, cool, he's working on the house. And then they would be gone, and I'd be like, cool, I guess he's done. And then all of a sudden they'd be back in a couple of weeks. And I remember one of the guys finally just ranting at me. He's like, this guy's fucking stupid. Like he just won't even get this shit done. And then we're gone, and then he can't sell this damn house and won't pay us. And then all of a sudden we got to do more shit. And I was like, okay, man. Doesn't matter to me.
So he would try to get as minimal work done as possible
classic, like
conceal, like, hey, there's problems with this house, and then just keep trying to barely fix shit until somebody would buy it.
Classic landlord, homeowner, or house flipper shit.
I mean, dude, houses in the U.S. are just so. And what's weird is like how expensive they are. Not even what state you live in, but also just like it could be like a 20-mile difference in a city. Like I'm moving soon and I'm getting a new setup and everything.
Yeah.
But once I do, I've been like trying to look around areas like New Jersey, New York, Delaware, Philly. And
like it's already pretty ridiculously expensive and impossible. And like,
but if you like,
as somebody, I've gone through, I've sold a house and I bought two, I guess, at this point. So I bought one, sold it, bought this one.
How old were you when you bought your first house?
I mean, it was like it was a year or two ago. We bought that one, and then we had it for like 8 months, and then we moved here because we ended up deciding we wanted a child, and then Hannah got pregnant.
You wanted a family home.
Yeah, well, we wanted to move here to Arkansas because Hannah's whole family is here.
Yeah. And
it's really nice to have a support system. I've already told you about this personally.
Yeah.
Just in general, like St. Louis is great. I'm from there. I love it there. I miss it there, but it doesn't really beat having an entire familial support system around you.
Yeah.
Like
being able to go to other people, and
if we ever need help, like her grandparents are here in a moment's notice to pick up Darcy and do whatever needs to be done to be helpful. And like we'll do the same. It's unbeatable. Like there's nothing really better than like having people near you that can back you up. And it was like there was no question that we would get that here. You know what I mean? There was a question of that where we were in St. Louis. So, we were expecting to hold on to that house a bit longer, but things just ended up working out really well. And Hannah found this house just like randomly online, and happened to also be visiting her family at I think this was like during Gen Loss too, just to go back to earlier topics, I guess. Because I remember getting a text or a call in New York and Hannah being like, hey, so there's this home, like this one in Arkansas, and it's,
did you guys tour it before you got it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she toured it, and then I actually changed my flight from going back to St. Louis after
to come see it.
Because we went a week early to film some like pre-recorded stuff, because there's a few scenes that were like really ridiculous and complex, and it was like there's no live streaming that. So we showed up like a week early to do some pre-filming, and then I remember getting on a flight at like 4 a.m. and connecting it here to see this house, and then flying back for the rest of the show, while also basically helping her juggle like buying and selling. But it's agonizing. I mean, if you end up buying a house, you'll experience it, especially just as a creator. It's like agonizing, the amount of people that just don't trust you at all, just because you're technically a self-employed guy making a lot.
Like buying the house, they don't want to
give it to you because they don't trust that your income makes sense. They just see you as like self-employed, but somehow making as much money as you are as a creator. And like it's sketchy. It's sketchy to anybody unaware of the business. And most people within real estate aren't aware of the business because they're too busy being really obnoxious real estate people. And I'm super grateful. Like, it's very lucky to be able to have a job that is like puts us in a position like this. But it's like, dude, the guy who helped us with this house, like, didn't do his job, made Hannah do so much of it, forgot shit, like forgot to submit documents to the point where we got charged thousands of extra dollars because he did not do stuff on time, and then didn't tell his boss. And then when his boss was like talking to us, being like, how happy are you with like the service? We were like,
not at all.
You don't know? And she was like, what the fuck? Like, he dropped the ball so hard. And on top of like all of these banks being like, I had to send multiple bank statements. Like, one of the first things we did was send all of like months worth of bank statements, because we're like,
that you'd be able to pay for
which is very standard. They're like, we want to see 2 years of income, whatever, to see how much you can make and how much you have been, if this is real or lasting, whatever. And then it was like, okay, we need this month, we need this month, we need this month, we need this month, and I'm like, specific months, and it was like, you have them.
That's weird.
You have those months. We gave you the whole thing, and then I had to write 2 letters of explanation as to why I could move states and my job would be fine. 2, we made one, and they were like, that's not good enough. Make another, which is so weird to me, because it's like, how the fuck do you know? Why does it matter? But it was like, how is your business okay if you move, St. Louis is 5 hours from Northwest Arkansas.
So they were worried that you would stop making money.
They thought my business was physical in one specific spot, and they thought if I moved, it was gonna
do anything anywhere.
Which is what we explained. Like in the first letter, it was like, my job's online. I can just do it wherever I want.
I think that's anything with social media, though. Like, even explaining my job, I think it's getting more known.
Yeah, I mean, that's the good thing, is it is getting more normalized.
It's
but this is, like, from personal experience, it's a struggle in like real estate stuff.
Last 10, 15 years. Because if you're thinking back to like the 2010, nobody was a fucking YouTuber.
Oh my God, dude. My management's Australian. I went to their wedding. Like, that wouldn't have happened in, not even 10 years ago.
Yeah, like 6 years ago, 7 years ago. Because I mean, like, YouTube was a big thing then, but like now it's.
But I certainly wouldn't even known people like that.
Being a creator is a big job now. Like, it's like a big job field. And
it's at the point where like kids want it.
That's what I was gonna say. The reason it's being taken more serious is because kids are saying, like, I want to be an influencer when I grow up, which I also have some discrepancies about. And I'm not gonna say that you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't have that as a dream job. But I think the majority of like kids that are saying, and I'm not saying kids meaning like a 16-year-old. Like a 16-year-old understands how hard social media would be to a degree. But like a 10-year-old that's like, I want to be an influencer one day. You don't know the fucking half of it. You don't know. You would like. I'm not saying this job sucks. I fucking love this job. It's the best opportunity I've ever been given.
There's a lot of
but nobody
cons.
knows the downsides, and it's like I know the reason nobody knows the downsides is number one, you've never experienced
nobody
it.
talks
But number
about it
two,
either.
no one talks about it because when you bring to light the problems that influencers deal with, stalking, swatting, weirdos, people trying to cancel you, make shit up about you, fucking freaks, dude.
They tell you just
no
get
one
over
ever
it.
talks about them because if you talk about it, people do it more, right?
That's
like
also
if you
true.
look at like Aiden Ross, for example, when he would yap about getting swatted, and like it would happen, and he would stream it, and he would like broadcast it, he would get swatted every fucking day because the more you talk about it, the more people do it.
I actually tweeted something a little related like yesterday because I saw some tweet about like there's a big bump in serial killers in the 80s, whatever, in terms of appearance and in rate. There's a whole tweet I made about it explaining it. That's a whole different topic. But a side note I made about it was like when like school shootings and stuff happen, the areas around that school and all of the schools around it get threats like all over the place, like especially around the area it happened. If it gets national news, lots of places. There's something about like the attention.
Motivates people to see it because if you're putting the spotlight on this fucking kid that went into a school and shot fucking 15 elementary school students and now he's getting life in prison,
and it happens every time.
There's that one jerk off sitting in a pitch black room watching that going, I need to fucking do that.
That could be me.
Right?
Exactly.
That could be me. And then they do it for like their moment of fame. And like, you know, I don't want to have any sympathy for fucking school shooters, but I don't think I don't know. I think it probably depends on the person, but do you think like the average school shooter is realizing like, if I do this, I'm going to spend the rest of, I feel like people don't realize like the rest of my life, right? Like that one kid that shot up a school in Florida.
That's an impossible concept.
He's like, you're going to get 5 days on the news.
He's a great example.
Everyone's going to forget about you. Outside of the family members that were affected, everyone's going to fucking forget about you. And now you're 17 and you're going to spend the next, I don't know, 60 years in fucking jail.
The thing
like,
is you can't conceptualize that. People can't think
that far in the future.
I can't think about tomorrow.
Like, oh, yeah.
Nobody
like you think everybody was always like envision 5 years into the future. Bitch, 5 years ago, if I looked back to 5 years ago when I was 17, no fucking shot in hell I'd be like, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing now.
I would laugh at myself. I would be like, there's no fucking way.
Mm-hmm. So it's just like, I think they don't realize that. But I mean, back to the influencing thing. I think that, I don't want to say it's better to be like when you're a kid saying, I want to be a doctor, I want to be this, I want to be that. But it's like, the reason everybody wants to be an influencer is because that's who they're watching. But then it's like, so I don't know, I want to be a doctor and then you don't become a doctor is so much less disappointing than I want to be a social media person. And then you don't become, and then anything that's not that you're upset about.
You can't just become a doctor and not be successful. Like,
but
that's you have to go through
people
years.
Realize. That's why when you're a kid, sorry for interrupting, but when you're a kid and you're like 8 and you're like, I want to be a doctor, and then you're 16, right? And you're in high school, and
it's
you realize, and when you're 16, you're in high school, and you're like, fuck, man, I have to go to school for 7 to 9 years to become a fucking physician. Fuck that.
One of my best
you
friends
get a fucking 2-year degree.
Just started his residencies. Like he just started.
He's probably
actually working
30.
at a hospital, which is still a part of a college, and he finished his med school. He just finished med school like last year, and like I graduated college in 2019. So
yeah.
Been like actually 5 years and he's still not technically his own like successful doctor. Like,
yeah, when I wanted to do before I have a philosophy and religion degree, but I was exercise science when I started college.
Yes, dude, PT. You can say it now. Yes, flex it
at all
points.
To do physical therapy so bad. Like
Lots of work.
It's 7 years.
Yep.
It's 4-year bachelor's and 3-year doctoral program. I would have to be, just the thought of me being where I am now say I wasn't doing social media and I stuck with exercise science, the fact that I would have 3 more fucking years, fuck that. And then on top of that, I have like chatters and stuff that are like going to school for like neurosurgery. And they're like, I'm going to be in school for 12 years and then I'm going to have a residency. Bro, like, yeah, you're going to be a fucking millionaire.
I respect the
Guaranteed.
shit out of it.
I respect it. The fact that you can grind that out, we need people to do that. And that's why you're going to get paid when you get there. You're going to get paid fucking racks, right?
Yeah.
But the idea of going to college at 18 years old, say you start at 18, right when you get out of high school, and you go for 12 years, you're 30. You're fucking 30 years old and you still haven't started like your full-time job.
That also doesn't even go into the fact that like even if you're trying to be a doctor, you have to basically start succeeding within high school. Like
oh yeah,
top mark. So for like 2 decades, you have to be practically flawless in order to even be considered to do any of it, which is a long time to be like really upfront immaculate and very wearing on a person. So I have nothing but respect for anybody who goes to school.
Oh, and the days they just study nonstop.
I have respect for anybody who doesn't even finish high school because, like, honestly, most of it sucks and half of it's not applicable at this point in life.
If you want my honest take here, I think high school, and a lot of people bitch about how high school doesn't have like tax classes, and I really think that would be good to have like a straightforward adulting shit, right? Because like you're not prepared when you're out of high school for like the shit you got to do when you're an adult. And I would even say when you're out of like you're a legal adult when you're out of high school, but you're not a mature adult. Like I would say I'm mature now, but when I was fucking 19, freshman year of college, I didn't know anything about anything. I was still the same high school kid, but just now I'm taking classes at a university. I think between like 19 and 25, you age so much mentally that you just become a different person. But
well, you just deal with so many different things that are
and
so
life
unique. Like
yeah.
If you go to college is such a unique environment. Like there's a reason people miss college because you don't really spend any other time surrounded by thousands of people that
like-minded
are
people
similar.
Yeah.
Like that just doesn't really happen. Like I'm 27. I miss college in that regard. Like I wouldn't go back obviously, but like
oh yeah,
I miss being in an apartment on campus with 3 of my best friends living with me, like being able to just fuck around a majority of the time.
Classes.
Having a job as an IT tech on the campus just to get alcohol and get fucked up on the weekends. Like that's fun. There's a fun part of college that creates like it's not even about the education that was really ended up being important to me, obviously, because I don't fucking use my degree. It was all of experience. Like, I mean, I met my wife while I was in college. I met my friends while I was in college. Like some of the best people and the best times that I've had so far was because I like put myself out there in college. Like it's so much about the environment than it is the education, but it's a whole different thing.
I was going to say with high school though, people like back to what I was saying, like I think the benefit of high school, and a lot of people complain about how, oh, this is useless. Oh, this is useless. I don't want to be that guy, right? I don't want to be that fucking Sigma mindset, like, podcast dude. But high school sucks, and that teaches you a lesson of, like, you know, most of the shit you're going to do, you don't want to do, right? Like, it's not, people are like, this sucks. Why can't I just go to work? High school blows. And I'm like, yeah, I agree, right? College is going to suck, too, in terms of the fact that half of the classes you take have nothing to do with your degree. From somebody that just graduated, every fucking class, I loved my philosophy classes. 50% of my college experience was me taking the same bullshit classes that I took in high school, just harder and more niche. And then when you're done college, hate to be the bearer of bad news, you're still going to have to do shit you don't want to do.
Yeah,
and you're going to have to do more of it. So I don't want to be a dickhead here, but I say this to my fucking chat all the time. If you can't get through high school, you're fucked, right?
I think it's a healthy thing to understand. I think it's smart to recognize, and it's healthy to notice that. Also, don't be mad. I skipped pretty much all of my philosophy class in college.
I'm not mad about that. I think that if you want me to be real, it was
great. He was like, attendance is mandatory. Yeah. I was like, nope, I'm gone.
I know that's most of the philosophy. As long as you write the papers, it's whatever. Yeah. What I will miss When I walked off that stage, there's a clip somebody fucking posted. I wasn't even going to talk about my graduation. Somebody posted a clip of me walking and getting my degree.
Really?
Ooh. Yeah, now everybody knows what college I went to. But yeah,
I was pretty blatant about it when I did.
I already fucking graduated. I don't give a shit now. But
doesn't matter.
I shake the president of the university's hand, and I get off the stage, and I'm like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I didn't even stay to the end of my graduation because
nice.
I was like the 150th name called out of like 1,000 fucking people. I'm like, I'm not sitting here. I had a reservation at PF Chang's. I'm not going to sit here and wait. And I left, and people got mad at me, and I didn't really give a fuck. But right before I leave, my philosophy professor comes up and he hugs me. And like then I noticed it before then, but it was like I got really sad because it was like what you said, where I don't miss the classes. I mean I just finished.
Stuff.
I'm not gonna miss the classes. I'm not gonna miss the work. I'm gonna miss going to my philosophy class, sitting down with other people that love the same shit I do, and just talking about that stuff. You don't get that. Obviously, if you're a fucking business marketing major or you're doing some fucking random shit just to make money, whatever, you're not probably going to love your degree. But, like, philosophy was something that I really enjoyed. And I'm assuming you liked criminology. Like, it's a fun, like, I loved my classes for my major, and I'm gonna miss those, right? But I would never want to go back.
I totally get it. I love talking about serial killers, and it's great because people love hearing about it. So like when people want to talk about it, I love talking about it because it's such a fascinating thing. But it's that investment, it's that emotional investment because you spend such a significant time in your life like creating weird memories that can never really be replicated because it's an artificial environment, but it's a fascinating one and it's a really exciting one.
And I think it's really where you find out, I think college, because it's the start of that maturing time, I think it's where you start to find out like who you really are. Mm-hmm. And so it always holds a nostalgia. Obviously it's the last moment of your education, which is like the first big chunk of your life, but it's also just going to be a nostalgic moment because it's like, you're becoming you, right? Like you're still like, you know, when you're in high school, you're becoming you. And then, the first year of college. But once you start getting really into your degree,
you're stumbling because it's happening, but it's happening and you don't know how to adjust to it yet.
Like my freshman year of college, I can't relate to that me, right? Like
dude, my freshman year of college, I got like a 1.8 GPA.
So you barely passed.
Mm-hmm.
But like
I went into college as a pre-veterinarian.
Yeah. Oh God. I look back at that.
Sorry, for some reason after the first semester and I bombed it so hard, I was like, I can salvage this, and did it again the second semester and
really?
I did better, but not to the point where like I'm gonna look good at it in any regard to anybody. So I was just
that's how they weed out a lot of people in. Like, I remember my freshman math class, failing was a 40. And the reason they did that was because the math class I needed was just for, my degree. But for other people, it was like the start of their math degree or the start of their whatever degree. And say you're getting like a physics degree and you fucking you get a 50 in calc in college, which is, mind you, way fucking harder than calc in high school. Okay.
It's pretty crazy to get a score that low.
When I was in exercise science, I took AP biology my senior year in high school. I took bio and chem in college. And when I took biology in college, in the first week, I swear to you, the first week we covered my entire year of AP biology in 1 week. And then it was just a bunch of shit I've never heard of. Just stuff. I was like, oh, this class is going to be a breeze. And then it's just like, learning more and more in depth, getting smaller and smaller scale, like past cells and molecules, like to the point where you're like you're in a biology class, but it feels like chemistry. Like you're just fucking learning about how things fucking function on a deep level. Anyways, when I look back at freshman year me, or like maybe even early sophomore me, I can tell like when I started slowly like picking up my stride of like, hey,
this is what I actually want to do.
This is what I actually want to be. This is who I am, right? Like I always say to my chat, like I used to be a more narcissistic person, and then slowly I just realized like I'm an asshole. That
you
that
get humbled the older you get into
Yeah.
your 20s. I mean, it has been a fun journey for me, especially too. I will say this so many times, like, do not, if you're going into college, do not feel pressured to declare major, because this will happen to you. More people change majors than they don't, and this will happen to most people that get a major. They'll probably hate it, because then the work, or like the material that actually has to be put in to understand and want to continue and spread that knowledge or do that knowledge, you don't really realize it until you start doing it. And it's better for you to just go in undeclared and take all the necessary classes, so you can spend, like, because I went in pre-veterinarian my first year, I spent my second year as a psychology major, and realizing I wanted more but didn't really love all of the nitty-gritty of psychology. So I ended up investigating. I ended up like in criminology, because I ended up finding more of a fascination behind the criminal psychosis, not just the psychosis, right? And so I ended up getting a psych minor, but because I was taking psych classes, but because I ended up taking all those random necessary classes kind of within the first year, but mostly in the second, because I wasn't positive, I took a majority of my third and fourth year were criminology based classes, and any requirements, I guess. But like a lot of the core stuff was just done. It was just over with, because I had already been taking it here and there for the first 2 years. And if you go in undeclared, you can do that pretty much a majority of the classes.
I was gonna say, I think going in undeclared is a good idea, but I think there's a difference between going in undeclared, finding something you like, and declaring your major, and then that one junior in college that has been to undeclared for 3 years and didn't pick a major, and now they're gonna spend 6 years getting a 4-year degree. So
I would say do it within the 4-year gap for sure.
Yeah, you can go in undeclared, but by the end of the first year, fucking no, at least pick something in the realm that you would want to do. So say you switch. Like, say you're done your first year, you took a bunch of gen eds, and you're like, I want to be in the arts. Pick an arts degree, go with that, and if you switch, it's whatever. But like,
or just don't be guilty about switching. Like, don't pick something and then feel like you have to stick to it, because like, college doesn't care. They just want your money, really.
Yeah, you could go in undecided, pick something, but don't pick like business marketing and then go, I'm gonna be a physics major, and then switch, and then go, I'm gonna actually be a philosophy major, right? Because none of those are going to combine, and then you're going to be in college for 6 fucking years spending more money than you need to. But colleges will love if you're undecided too, because then they're banking on you not picking a degree in time, and then you're going to spend 5 years on a 4-year degree, and then they'll get more money. Also, so colleges don't care.
A lot of like GPA and high school related scholarships that you get going into college only last 4 years. So if you go those extra few years, you're paying way more out of pocket.
Yeah.
You were talking about like having to do more shit you don't want to do, and like it is that the problem is the older you get, the more that has to happen for sure. Because like obviously all I would love to do all day is just sit here and yap and be stupid and play games and make people laugh, but realistically I would not take care of myself and hurt myself to a major degree if that's all I did. But that's all I want to do technically, besides like obviously be with my family and take care of my daughter and stuff like that. If I didn't do like all the other necessary stuff, like my family would be hurting, I would be unhealthy, I wouldn't like anything really. Because if you like it's a weird balance that is also good for you, because you kind of learn when you go to college, you learn to take care of yourself. I mean, even if you go out of high school and start living by yourself and figuring out life without college, you start to figure out like what you need and what you want out of like your day-to-day, I guess. And that is a cool part of college, is you kind of get that, as well as like all the fun social aspects of being there. But you do end up having to pick up a lot of stuff that isn't, it's just nobody wants to do it. Nobody wants to do their laundry. Nobody wants to, I mean, I do like cooking, but like cooking gets old.
Just
like
chores. People don't realize like
if
how
I could
long
just
it takes
order
to make
food
a meal.
every single time, like
yeah.
I probably realistically would, just because my job is so like unexpectedly busy that like if I could realistically afford to do that, I probably would.
That's what like XQC and them do. They just fucking, it's just always DoorDash and
who the fuck wouldn't? Like most people would. I think I would probably be smarter and probably start going into like what's the healthier thing to order, so I do actually take care of myself, I guess, nutritionally. But like
food takes up
some
so
of them
much
just order
more time
like
than people
greasy
think.
shit, soda shit,
yeah.
crazy shit. It's food is tons of work. The worst part, one of the worst parts about being out of college is figuring out what to eat. Like it sucks.
And meal prepping.
It sucks so bad. Like I hate having to figure out what to eat every day. I wish my brain just liked the same shit every single day.
The same meal every time. Well, it's so weird how like food switched from becoming a survival thing to being more of like an enjoyment.
Mm-hmm.
Like people eat what they want, whereas it used to be like you just ate.
You
like,
just had
got food. You had food, right? Like now you're good. But yeah, you know, I don't want to say this is a good spot to end this. However,
it's been a while already. Actually,
it has almost been 2 hours. And currently, for the people that don't know, it is 2 a.m.
Oh yeah, that's true.
My time. I don't know about you, but
we talked about pretty much nothing on this.
We started with.
We talked about aliens.
We talked about aliens, and then we went on Disney World, school shooters, college, life, rats.
Really nothing on
here. Yeah. I mean, that's what I expected. We needed something to start with and then just go from there.
That's kind of what we expected. Yeah. I guess that's the first episode of this, which is fun. I hope people like this. If people do, we'll keep doing it. We'll find time. Joe's less busy now that he doesn't have to go to school. So I'm sure we'll find time to do stuff. We thought it would be fun if we asked you guys if you wanted us to have certain topics. Like obviously we're going to have a list of that's continuing to evolve of topics we think of that might be interesting to talk about. We might get to them.
I was going to say we could have a little side commenter list and then also just leave their comment and then try and like touch on one or two like an episode just so we get through some of them.
Yeah,
so comment below what you want us to talk about.
Yeah, and we'll try to pick a few to talk about and realistically probably get off topic, but I guess that's the whole point, is just we can ramble and talk about shit that people might find interesting. So
for sure.
Let us know. I guess that's it for now.
Welcome or not welcome. Goodbye.
That was earlier, Joe. You missed to say.
I ruined it. We're done. It's the first episode.
It's canceled. The
hard
whole thing's done.
Hard end.
Hard end.